everyone, this is Jean here, and today I'm going to be sharing my top 10 books of 2019 for you guys. I actually really struggled with picking out my favorites this year because most of them were actually sequels to series that I had already read and loved. There weren't that many new reads that I picked up that were my absolute favorites. So on my list, there's going to be a lot of sequels and a lot of series enders. So most of them are fantasy as usual. And there is actually going to be one romance read. So it's going to be a pretty interesting list for you guys. Let's just get started on my top 10 favorite reads of 2019. Number 10 is Aurora Rising by Amie, Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Who's surprised that this is on my list? The Illuminae Files is pretty much my favorite series of all time, so of course this is going to be on the list. But I really enjoyed the antics with the Squad 312, who are a squad of unlikely squad mates who fly out into space and they're assigned a space mission. I loved pretty much a deep space exploration in this one and how the whole theme of unlikely friends kind of came together in the end, and how you hear from, you know, the diversity of different species, different alien species, different people with different technical abilities. Like you've got Scarlet, who's really charismatic, you've got like a tech wizard, you've got an alien who can charm others, you've got an LGBT relationship in here. Yeah, I just enjoyed how it's just filled with such different personalities that really came together, and it's set in space and it's filled with diversity and snark and banter. So I'm really looking forward to Aurora burning next year. Number 9 is The Wicked King by Holly Black, and this is the second book in the Folk of the Air series. The first one was The Cruel Prince, and the last one just came out, which is Queen of Nothing. It features so much sexual tension between Carden, who is the bad boy who's become High King, and Jude, who's pretty much controlling his every move, and there was so much banter and tension between the two of them. I love how this one explored the undersea as well, and how that had such a big impact on the Fey lands, and the political intrigue as well in this series is really fantastic. I think this one was my second favorite book out of the whole series. Queen of Nothing I enjoyed with the ending, but I felt like it was all too easily won, whereas this one there was still a lot of twists and turns that had me gasping for my breath. Number 8 is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and this is a chunker, guys. The Priory of the Orange Tree had really deep dragon lore, and I loved how it featured 4 corners of the world, and it took the time to build up each of the characters and their motivations. So you've got like the traditional monarchy, and then you've got like the Eastern kingdoms who are dragon riders and inspired by Asian lore as well, and then you've got like the Great One who is the dragon, and that's how everything is based off in the lands. It just felt like Samantha Shannon really took her time building up this world and integrating the dragons as part of it, and there's different characters that are trying to achieve different things. It felt like a really fantastic feminist fantasy with some unlikely characters who you wouldn't expect, and I like how she incorporated like a handmaiden and the queen kind of relationship as well, which was a FF relationship that was really enjoyable. And then you've got like another character here who's like a 40-year-old guy who's a bit jaded and he's kind of bitter at the world, but you don't really see those types of characters in mainstream fantasy fiction, so that's why I really enjoyed this one. I just love the deep world, the dragons and the characters. It was just really enjoyable, and at over 900 pages it was well worth it. Number 7 is Vardaesia by Lynette Noni. So this is actually one of the longest series I've read over the past few years. It's the 5th book in the Midorian Chronicles series, and so far it has only been available in Australia, which is why you probably haven't heard too much about this if you're in the States. But yes, I really enjoyed the Midorian Chronicles series. It's about a girl called Alex who stumbles upon a world and then she gets sucked into it, and pretty much she joins a fantasy fantasy school to learn new skills like magic and things like that. The stakes get higher and it just gets a lot more exciting. There's time travel, there's dragons, there's alternate timelines, there's memories. She's got an evil guy called Avon who is after her, and she builds up a squad of friends and allies through different worlds and different nations that are as diverse as each other, like different species as well. And they tend to aid her in her quests. And Vardaesia was just like the perfect ending, you know, the perfect ending to a long series. It's still not too easy here. She's been through a lot in the past few books and she has to overcome her internal struggles as well and learn to trust in the squad and the allies that she's made, especially her friends. And I love how the core value of this series is loyalty and friendship and not so much love, which is really enjoyable. And yeah, I will really miss the Madoran Chronicles series, and I thought it ended so wonderfully. Just made me really warm and fuzzy by the end of it. Number 6 is actually a surprise, and that's A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. So I actually read this one soon after Amelia was born in the hospital at the start of the year. When I look back at all the books that I read during the year, it's one of my favorites. It's just a modern day Beauty and the Beast retelling that's really, really enjoyable, and the main character Harper has cerebral palsy and it does not stop her from achieving her goals in this fantasy land. So she pretty much gets kidnapped by a prince, by Prince Ren, and same with the Beauty and the Beast timeline. There's things that he's hiding. But yeah, Harper doesn't just sit up in her castle going, I can't do anything. She tends to aid him in his quest for gaining favor in the kingdom and for making his kingdom stronger, which I really enjoyed. And there also is like a slow burn romance that Beauty and the Beast is famous for. And you've also got the guard, the princess guard, has a bit of a like protective nature behind him, and he gets to know Harper as well. So there are like love triangle vibes. I wouldn't say it's a full love triangle, but yes, there was so much tension in there that I really, really enjoyed. And I can't wait for A Heart So Fierce and Broken that will come out in January. Number 5 is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. Now this is a hard one to follow up because The Poppy War is probably one of my favorite books of all time, and if you haven't heard of The Poppy War, it's basically a Chinese military fantasy set in modern ancient China times. That's kind of hard to describe, but there's a lot of military warfare and wartime tactics, and it's inspired by Chinese mythology with the lore and the magic. Basically, Rin is recovering from PTSD in this book. She's thrust into war and there's a lot of naval warfare and planning, and I felt like this one meandered a bit. It wasn't as strong of a book as The Poppy War was, because The Poppy War progressed over decades pretty much, and this one was, you know, a point in time. So there was a lot of like banter and not much happened through the middle, but I still really enjoyed it because I love seeing this world come to life and I love the characters. There's a great best friendship with her and Katai, and there's a platonic friendship as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed all the strategic elements, all the political maneuvering, the naval warfare in this one, and I think Rin is just like your Slytherin queen. You just have to love her, even though she's addicted to drugs and she doesn't know what she's doing sometimes. She's just run by a really fierce resolve to take revenge, even though no one can talk sense into her. I really enjoyed this one and I can't wait for the 3rd book next year. Number 4 is actually the surprise entrant of this list, and that is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Oh my gosh guys, I enjoyed this one so much. I actually listened to it on audiobook, but it's pretty much what happens when the American first son meets the pompous British prince, and they have a kind of unlikely rivalry with one another, and then they end up falling in love. Oh my gosh, this book was so good. You know, like the royalty and the scandal that comes with it, and the scandal that comes with politics. There's so much of that in this book, and what would happen if their relationship got out, and how they need to run away from the press, and the responsibility that they have taking the throne as well in the British monarchy. That was really interesting. But oh my gosh, there's so much tension, there's so much banter. I just love this book. Even if you're not a big romance reader, I think everyone will enjoy this book. It's just it is just full of good times. Number 3 is The Toll by Neal Shusterman, and this is the third book in the arc of the Scythe series. The first one was Scythe, the second one is Thunderhead, and yes, The Toll. Oh my gosh, this is such a fantastic series. I think each book got better and better as you went on. It's a really intelligent dystopian, so things have progressed so far into the future that people can't die anymore, but then you've got people called scythes who are above the law that choose to glean people or pretty much kill people off and make sure they don't come back to life, because people can just get healed these days. And it was so good because every book pretty much explores different stakes, and the stakes get higher and higher, and it explores like morality. There's a all-omnipresent being called the Thunderhead who knows everything. He's got like the computer machinations. Everyone relies on the Thunderhead. But yeah, like what happens when the Thunderhead disappears? You'll get like different groups that run amok and decide to try and take over and set rules for themselves, and it was just like a fantastic conclusion. Explored like the grey area between preserving lives or preserving it for the future with a few deaths in between, things like that. And I just think it's just such an intelligent and thought-provoking series. So I love this one. I loved how the ending was so unexpected as well, but so fitting. So yes, the Arc of the Scythe series is definitely one of my recent favorites of all time. Number 2 is Darkdawn by Jay Kristoff, and this is the third book in the Nevernight trilogy. If you're in the bookish community, I don't need to tell you what Nevernight is about. It's about Mia, who is a young girl in the first book, and she joins the Red Church and learns how to become an assassin. Her goal is to assassinate her father's killer, pretty much. Darkdawn, I'm not going to offer any spoilers, but oh my freaking goodness. Oh my gosh, it just builds upon the last 2 books, and then, you know, oh my gosh, like everything, all the loose ends that you could think of from the previous 2 books are just wrapped up here, are just addressed here. There's like a lot of tongue-in-cheek as well about the Nevernight volumes and about the author of them. You get to find out who they are. And then there's like the snarky footnotes that a lot of people love in this series. Some people love them, some people hate them. I could take it or leave it. But oh, Mia is such a stabby and brutal character, but she's always been a lone wanderer. In this one, she's made friends and she's made lovers and she's made enemies, and it's just a wonderful farewell to all these characters that you know and love, and you see Mia take everything to the bitter end. And oh my gosh, this series, oh, just even talking about it is giving me so many feels and so much emotion. And oh my gosh, if you guys haven't read Nevernight yet, please read it. Oh, it's so good. Finally, my top favorite book of 2019 is Jade City by Fonda. This totally wasn't going to be a surprise for me, because when I read this book, I'm like, this book is so unique. It's like everything I ever wanted. And I knew it just struck such a chord with me, seeing a book set in a modern day Asian city, seeing so many Asian characters as a main cast and not like a cast off, and it just completely kicked ass. So Jade City was one of our Name of the Book picks, which is the book club I'm in. I'll link down below if you guys are interested. But yeah, I loved it so much. It's basically inspired by clan families and clan wars. There's like, you know, family loyalty and kung fu and martial arts, which is really cool. So there's a really deep world. On the island of Kekon, there's Jade that instills the wearer with special abilities, with special perception, with super speed and strength. I'm not going to explain it, but yes, if you love things like The Godfather, if you love Asian fantasy and sci-fi, with a really deep world that's like urban fantasy with magic and it's really unique, I definitely recommend Jade City. I loved it so much. There was a twist in here where like it completely got me. Like it took a while for me to get into, and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure I'm feeling it. But oh my gosh, like it just hooks you in, and the characters are all fantastic. And yes, that is Jade City by Fonda. So those are my top 10 books of 2019. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. Let me know what is on your list for 2019. Let me know if you end up picking up any of these books, or if any of these books are your favorites for the year. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below on anything that you've heard, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks guys, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.